Yo, this is a succinct tutorial on how to build USB-driven, low-profile, external express keys for modern tablets. It's foremost designed for tablet artists lacking Wacom express keys for quick undo, redo functions, panning, but can be used for a multitude of different purposes, like gaming, security, or sending me money, or whatever you want to use it for. So here's the explanation. In order to get a small set of extra buttons on your device that aren't $150, you're going to attach this to this and program the buttons to act like whatever keystrokes you want, as though it were a 4-button USB keyboard. If you don't have a USB slot, then enjoy your iPad, I guess. Your instructions are: first, buy a micro development board. I got the Teensy 2.0 $16 version, came without pins. I did some soldering with it to have the lowest profile possible. If you don't want to do any soldering, get the $19 Teensy 2.0 with pins. It'll have a fatter profile at the end, like I said, but it'll be way easier to assemble. Next, get a membrane switch keypad. You can get those on Amazon. You can watch this first and then shop around for your needs. I just used this 4-button one for this explanation. Next, get a mini USB cable. Mini, not micro. Those are the slightly older ones, a little bigger, and not the kind the phones use nowadays. You probably already have one at home. The construction of this is really simple, especially if you got the Teensy 2.0 with pins. You just plug the switch right into the Teensy 2.0. Just make sure to plug it in on a letter number combination line, not anything like VCC or ground, and avoid D6 because D6 is already wired to the LED. If you got the Teensy 2.0 without pins, you plan to do some soldering to make it really low profile. It's the same principle. You just remove the plastic housing from the membrane pins using nub nose pliers to push those up through the desired ports. Again, avoiding D6 and the back row and those, and then just solder them into place, and you're done. The next and last step is programming, which is very easy as well. You download 2 lightweight, very easy to use programs. The first is the Teensy Loader. That loads firmware onto the Teensy. I've linked it below. Download also the Easy AVR program that creates firmware for the Teensy. Once you've downloaded Easy AVR and just extract its contents to the desktop, it's just a folder called easy_key map and a string of numbers. Go in that folder, go to the CFG directory, and find a file called handwire_hardwire.cfg. You're going to want to copy that file, make a copy of it, then go to the original file and edit that in Notepad. You're going to change the values here based on where you soldered your pins earlier. This part relates to where your pins are plugged in. So mine were B4, D7, D4, D5, C7. You can see I changed my values accordingly. You can see that you're effectively making a 1-column matrix here. C7 at the very bottom is pushed off because if you look on the back of your membrane switch and pull up the sticker, you can see the line that is not like the others. It's the one that is powering or related to power on the switch. If you follow that one and check to see which pin you've plugged it in, that's the one you're going to want to set column 0 equal to. After that, you just save and close that configuration file you were working on and open Easy AVR itself. Go to File, New Default Layout, and select Handwire Matrix. That's going to bring up a list of buttons that you just related to your device via that configuration file. What you did is set the top 4 in the top left down to those buttons. So if you put A, B, C, and D in those spaces, your buttons are now going to type A, B, C, and D as you select them. Also, if you want right here, add Z to one of the buttons and put the control modifier on it. That will make the button function as an undo command, since Control Z is the undo command in Photoshop and a ton of other programs. From that point, you can save the layout if you want to, but since A, B, C, and D is not very hard to enter, you can just go to File, Build, Firmware, and that will give you the hex file you need to load into the Teensy Loader here in a minute. Your last step is to plug in the device, and it should start blinking, and then you load the Teensy Loader program. This is the program that flashes firmware onto your device. As you can clearly see, it says press button on the Teensy to manually enter program mode. So do that, look opposite end of the USB port on the Teensy and press the button. That should change the screen on the Teensy Loader program. That means it's in I am ready to accept the program mode. Go to File, Open, and find that hex file you saved out from Easy AVR. That's the program that you're going to send to it. So once that's up, press the green button on the Teensy Loader program that says Program. That will send the program to the device, and then hit Reboot after it's done. That will reboot your device and make it ready to go. From there, you might just want to bring up a text document, see if your buttons are working like you wanted them to, or bring up an art program and see if Control-Z is undoing actions. And that's pretty much it, guys. After that, you have a fully programmable, very small form factor USB keyboard that you can slap on the front or back of pretty much any device you want. I'm still shopping around for a new tablet, but once I get one, I'll create a form-fitting case for this that hopefully looks pretty cool. I already whittled down a piece of plastic from an old Cat 5 converter box and cut myself up in the process, but it's awesome. Also, the content of this video is almost all practice and no theory, so I definitely recommend looking up some of the principles as to why this stuff works. I can recommend geekhack.org to you guys. I had this idea to basically give artists some other options besides just whack 'em, whack 'em, whack 'em. And some guys over at Geek Hack, specifically Suicidal Orange and Never Used, are pretty much the reason this was realized, so big thanks to them and thanks to you guys. Buy my t-shirt. I don't have a t-shirt.